I'm Larry Smith from Beverly, Massachusetts. I'm a retired bank president. I was president of the oldest community bank in the United States for over 21 years, having worked there for 45 years. Retired a few years ago and had been into gardening beforehand. It was a great way to relieve stress and forget about the day. And we started developing the yard here after we built this place over 12 years ago, and keep adding gardens as we go. Well, I like to experiment with planting. I think I grew 17 different varieties of peppers this year, from a very hot jalapeno and cherry to the more mundane, just California Wonder pepper. I like peppers. Peppers are a lot of fun. Tomatoes, I think, are the best, because you can get into all kinds of heirloom varieties and different types. I do like to experiment. I end up giving a lot of it away, and I was of course, being president of the bank, I visit one of my branches quite often, and I went to a local grower this past day, had a farm, and Marilyn said, "Larry," she says, "what are you trying to do, put me out of business? You bring vegetables into the bank all the time." So it's kind of a fun thing to do. The garden this time of year, of course, is getting to look a little bit overdone because everything is ready for harvest. But one of my biggest problems that I've had is the local environment here is woodchucks. And I went through Gardener Supply and bought this particular fencing, which has a little electric line that runs through it, and it has been very effective. And in putting my garden together, I used the cages that I bought from Gardener Supply. And this year, I don't know there was a new product for them, but the product I'm holding up, my peppers and my tomatoes, I purchased from Gardener Supply. I thought them to be very good support for the plants. They're covered with vinyl, so you don't get any scratches on your fruit and what have you. And I'd really like to get into the container growing, which I've been doing. I bought these 3x3 beds from Gardener Supply over the last couple of years, and I've actually got 2 or 3 other folks into it. It's a very easy way to grow. As you can see, the peppers really pick out of them. These peppers are growing very, very well. It makes it much easier to grow because the soil warms up earlier than it was in the ground, so I can plant early. I use a lot of the container mix that I get from Gardener Supply as well, mixed with some other secret things that I put in there. I don't want to tell everything, but the product is very nice. Well, I feel just so good to be able to growing things, to see things. You start from a little seed, and it's amazing just to see what it does produce. From one little piece of seed, and you have a plant that produces 6 or 8 peppers. It makes you kind of stop and think after being CEO of a company and managing a bunch of people. It makes you kind of step back a bit and think about life and watching things grow, and you have your pitfalls of the animals and the pests and what have you, and you have to recover from that and start over again sometimes. You got the weather that causes you problems. I had to replant corn twice this year, and then lose it to a bunch of raccoons. It was a 4x6 bed that I bought from Gardener Supply, and I lost everything. I had to replant with beans and start over again. The thing I worry about is what am I going to do after the growing season's gone. So you get the month of November and December, so to speak, and then start January, the catalogs start coming in, and you look through Gardener Supply, what am I going to have to add this year? And gee, I don't really need to spend any more money, but yeah, I think I'll get this. That looks fun. And then your seed catalogs start coming in, and you start looking towards the new year, and come along end of March, you start your seedlings. I put up a greenhouse a few years ago, and it's really nice people growing things to start them in the greenhouse. You do have the neighbors come in and say, "Gee, can you winter over my plants in your greenhouse?" And sure, why not? And it's a lot of fun.